Hey guys, welcome back. So in the previous video, we got an overview of the project as a whole, saw the end result, and talked about what it is we're going to try to accomplish here in this video series. Up next in this video, we're going to do some prep work here. We're going to create our project, import some content, set up some of our blueprints, and create some of the blueprints that we'll need to use later on. Do all of our heavy lifting in this video so we get it all out of the way so that when we start setting up the other blueprints, most of the work will be done for us. So let's go ahead and get started. We are on the Unreal project browser. Again, we are using Unreal Engine version 4.8 for this video series. And we're on the new project tab and the blueprint tab. And we're going to be using the vehicle advanced template for this video series because it has a vehicle that we can drive around. It will have the track and everything for us already built. All we'll need to do is set up our time attack system essentially. So with that, make sure that starter content is enabled. Choose a folder location to save it, and then give your project a name, which I'm going to call mine the Time Attack, because that seems like a good name. And I'm going to create my project. And mine's going to actually load up off screen, so I'm going to have to drag that in a second once it's done loading. But what we're going to do first is just some organizational things to keep things nice and neat inside of our project. We're going to create some folders, create some blueprints, import some assets. We're only going to be using two assets actually that we're going to be importing. Those are just some audio files so that we have some music in our level, and then we have a sound effect that plays whenever we cross one of our checkpoints. So we'll show you where you can get your hands on those assets. So here is our project, the advanced vehicle template. Again, there's our vehicle. There's our track that's already set up for us. All we got to do is set up the system and start racing. So let's go ahead and first of all do some organizational things. Let's hop down to the content browser. We're going to left click on the content folder, the root content folder, and we're going to right click on it. And at the very top, we're going to add a new folder. And we're going to call this new folder the audio folder because we're going to store our audio assets in here or any other audio assets that you may add later on. We're going to right click again on the content folder. We're going to create a new folder and we're going to call it blueprints. We're going to keep all of our blueprints inside of this blueprint folder. Now with the blueprint folder selected, over in the right side of the content browser here, we're going to right click. We're going to add a new folder inside of our blueprints folder, and we're going to call this the UI folder. We're going to keep all of our UI elements inside of our UI folder. So before we start creating some of the blueprints and things that we'll need, let's go ahead and show you where you can get your hands on some of those assets that we will be using. So let me go ahead and pop up a browser here and drag that in. So if you go to wiki.unrealengine.com/F for file, timeattacksounds.zip, you'll be brought to this page here where you can right click on this zip file here, save it to the desktop or wherever is easy enough for you to get your hands on it. And once you extract that zip file, let me go ahead and pop that up, you'll see inside of it that we have two audio files. And this is all that we're going to be importing. This is our only import process that we're going to be doing here. And these two audio files were taken from the Realistic Rendering project, which is available on the marketplace, as well as from the content examples. So just so we have some audio to play in our level as our level music and a sound effect that will play whenever we cross a checkpoint. So once you unzip those files, go ahead and select them both. And let's actually make sure that our audio folder is selected inside of our content browser. And let's take our two audio assets, make sure they're both selected, just left click, and drag and drop them into our project. So that will import them. And they have been imported. There's an asterisk in the lower left-hand corner. Let's go ahead and make sure that we save those now. So there's our two audio assets. Those have been added to our project. Next up, we need to actually start creating some of the assets that we'll need. So let's hop over to the blueprints folder to do this. And inside the blueprints folder, we're going to create several blueprints here together. So let's right click in the content browser. Let's go up to create basic asset and the blueprint class and select it. It's going to ask us to pick our parent class. We're actually going to use an actor for this as we are going to place this first blueprint here into our level. And you can see that it says it's an object that can be placed or spawned in the world. So let's go ahead and select actor. And we're going to call this first blueprint here the checkpoint. This is our actual individual checkpoint rings that we'll place in our level. So I'm going to right click on this actually, this checkpoint blueprint here, and I'm going to duplicate it because we're going to create another actor blueprint. We're going to call this second blueprint here the tracker. And this is going to keep track of all of our checkpoints and all the information about our race inside of this blueprint. So it is of the actor type, so we are good to go. The next blueprint that we need to create, actually, let's right-click this time, and let's go up to Blueprint Class. And we're actually going to be using a player controller. So we're going to have our own player controller that we're going to use for our project. So go ahead and select Player Controller. And let's just call this My Player Controller. So I can't think of a more clever name than that. Like so. And let's create some more blueprints here. I'm going to right-click, Blueprint Class. And for this one, we're going to have to go down to the All Classes section and click this little icon here to expand it. The class that we are searching for is Save Game. So we need to create a Save Game blueprint to keep track of our variables that we want to save. So let's go ahead and choose the Save Game and hit Select. And let's just call this My Save Game for consistency in our naming. Okay, we have two more to create. We're going to right-click, and we're going to go to the Blueprints under Create Advanced Asset this time. And we're going to hop down and choose the Blueprint, well, if I don't scroll off of it, the Blueprint Macro Library. So go ahead and select this. It's going to give us the pick parent class. Go ahead and choose Actor is fine for this. And let's go ahead and rename this to Time Conversion. Now this Blueprint macro is going to save us a lot of quote-unquote time. What we're going to do is have our lap time and race time be driven by float values. However, we're going to use this macro that we'll set up later in this video series that will convert those float values for us into a readable text timer format, essentially. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But I wanted to create it and get it out of the way so that we have it. The last asset that we need to create, we're actually going to hop to the UI folder to do this. So let's go inside the UI folder. Let's right-click, and we're going to go under User Interface, and we're going to choose Widget Blueprint this time. So this is going to be what we're going to be working out of when we start working in UMG. So I'm just going to call this the HUD. It's going to be our game HUD. So with all of those created, I'm going to hit Save All, like so. So we have our checkpoint, our player controller, our save game, our time conversion, our tracker, and our HUD. Let's go ahead and save selected. So we get all those saved. And before we do anything else, let's hop down to the Vehicle Advanced BP folder. And under Blueprints, let's go ahead and open up the Vehicle Advanced Game Mode. Now this is the game mode that is used by default with this particular project. I'm not going to be doing too much inside of the game mode here. All we're going to do is hop down to this Player Controller class and tell it to use our custom My Player Controller. So the blueprint that we created. Let's go ahead and change it to that. Once we've done so, let's compile and save, and then go ahead and close this blueprint. That's all we need to do in here for now. With that out of the way, let's hop back to the Blueprints folder. Let's actually open our My Player Controller now, because we're going to do some prep work in here. We're actually going to do a lot of prep work in here to get a lot of stuff done and out of the way. So we are inside of the Blueprint editor now. We are inside the Player Controller. We're going to create some functions, some variables, and some custom events that we're going to need to call when we start setting up our checkpoint and tracker system. Typically, when you're putting together I guess putting together is the word I want to use here. Putting together your project, working on your game, you probably wouldn't work in this fashion. You would create variables and functions and things as you need them. But to minimize us jumping between different blueprints and having to go back and forth, I figured we would create all the things that we need and then reference them later. So let's get all of our prep work done inside of our player controller just to be a little bit more organized. And down in the My Blueprints panel, what we're going to do is start off by creating some variables. So we're going to go down to the variables section. I'm going to click the Add Variable button. And the first variable that we're going to create is going to be called Actual Lap. And this is going to keep track of our actual lap, as the name suggests. Now, in between videos, as I was experimenting, I had undocked our details panel. By default, it was probably up in the right side of the screen over here. Depending on how you like to work, personally, I like to bring the details panel and dock it under our My Blueprint so that it's easier to get from My Blueprints to the details rather than jumping across screen. But it depends on your workflow, however you'd like to work. So with that out of the way, let's hop down to the details panel actually, and let's go ahead and change the variable type. We need to change this to an integer. As I mentioned, this is going to keep track of the actual lap that we are on. And for organizational purposes, we're going to assign this to a category. So I'm going to click this section in here, and I'm going to rename the default value to value variables, like so. You can see our variable has now been added under this category value variable. So it'll make things nice and neat for us because we're going to add several value variables. So let's go ahead and select our actual lap here. I'm going to hit Control W on my keyboard to duplicate it so that we have another variable of the integer type. And we're going to call this max laps. This is going to keep track of the maximum laps that our race will have. So with both of those created, I'm going to hit Control W again to create another variable. And we're going to call this the actual race time. This will keep track of, as the name suggests, the race time. Let's change the variable type though. I'm going to click the drop down here. We're going to change this to a float. Now let's continue adding some variables here. So let's select our actual race time here, hit Control W, and let's call this the actual lap time. Because we have race time, we need lap time. Hit Control W to create another variable. We're going to call this the gold time to keep track of our goal for the gold time, whatever that would be. I'm going to hit Control W. As you guessed it, we got silver time. Hit Control W. We've got bronze time to keep track of. Hit Control W. We need our best lap time. Control W. Let's see. We need the best race time. And Control W again. Let's go ahead and add the default best lap time. Control W. Default best race time. So we have actual lap, max laps, actual race time, actual lap time, gold, silver, and bronze times, best lap time, best race time, and then we also have default values for our best lap and best race time. So with all of those created, we have our values created. Again, these are being stored as float values. So we're going to actually need to convert these to a readable text format. So we're going to have to create some text variables to correspond to some of these variables here. So I'm going to collapse our values, value variables category there. I'm going to click the Add Variable button to add a new variable. And we're going to call this new variable, what do we want to call this? We want to call this the, let me rename it here. Let's call it the race time text. So this is the equivalent of our float value for race time, but we're going to convert it to a text format. So down in the details panel, I'm going to click the variable type and change it to a text. Now again, for organizational purposes, I'm going to assign these to a category. We're going to call this the text variables, like so. And we're going to create several versions of our text variables here. So let's go ahead and hit Control W with it selected. We're going to call this the current lap time, or sorry, current lap text is what we want to call this. Current lap text. Let's hit Control W. Max lap text, Control W, gold time text, Control W, silver time text, Control W, bronze, if I could spell, bronze times text, Control W, and we need best time text, Control W, best lap text, Control W. We're also going to create the name of map text string that we'll be using, or text value that we'll be using. And then one more, the ready text. This is going to be used for our countdown before we actually start our race. So we have race time text, current lap text, max lap text, gold time, silver time, and bronze time, best time text, best lap text, name of map, and ready text. Again, this is probably not the workflow you would take when you're setting up, you're working with your project. You would create these as you need them, but we are going to need all of these later. So I figured we'd do it all up front and get it out of the way. So we have a couple more variables to create and then some functions and some custom events, and we'll be done inside of our player controller here. So let's add a couple more variables. Click the Add Variable button. We're going to call this race complete. So is the race complete? This is going to be a Boolean actually. So I'm going to change the type to a Boolean. Going to select it and hit Control, well, not rename it, but select it and hit Control W. This is going to be called race start. This is also going to be a Boolean. Going to hit Control W again to create another variable, and we're going to call this the respawn location. We're going to change this variable type to a transform, and And we're going to use this to determine where we should respawn the player if they flip their vehicle. So we need to keep this as a variable because it's going to change. So we have that created. Going to select it and hit Control W. And we're going to now create a variable called save slot. And let's change this variable type to a string. And we're going to use this to define where we should save our game so that we can have individual saves per level because it's going to be a variable. So with all of our variables created now, let's compile. And under the value variables, let's go ahead and expand this. And let's actually set the default values for our actual lap and max laps. For the rest of these, we won't worry about those for now. But let's set our actual lap. We're actually going to start out on lap 1. So I'm going to change that to 1. And for now, we'll set our max laps to 3. I think that's fine. Let's compile and save. And now all of our variables are set up. So the next thing that we need to do, we're about 15 minutes in. We're almost done with our prep work. We're going to create what's called an event dispatcher. And we're going to use this event dispatcher to let other blueprints know that the race has been started. So we'll call that inside of our player controller that the race has been started. Each of the blueprints that implement that event dispatcher will then get the notification that the race has been started as well, because we're going to need to know that in other blueprints. So we're going to go down to the event dispatcher section, click the add event dispatcher, and we're just going to call it race has started. So that's all we need to do for our event dispatcher. The next thing that we need to do is add a couple functions just to make things easier for us and cleaner. So we're going to go to the function section here, and we're going to add a couple functions. So I'm going to click the add function button. And the first function that we're going to create is called init text. And we're going to use this function to update all of our text properties for display. So we're going to have that reside inside of a function, so it's nice and neat. We're going to click the add function button again. This is going to be called save game check. And we're going to use this to determine if we need to actually save the game. So save game check. Let's create a couple more functions. If we determine that we need to save the game, then we're actually going to call a separate function which handles the process of saving the game. So we're going to call this function the actual save the game function. And we'll also need a load the game function, so a load the game. Then we're going to create another function called the lap time check. We're going to use this function to check and see if the player has beaten the best lap time. And we're also going to need a race time check to see if the player has beaten the best race time. So with both of those created, we have one more function, and this one's going to be called update goals. And we're going to use this function to update our gold, silver, and bronze time display. If the player no longer can achieve those, we're going to use this function to remove those from display, just to make things a little bit cleaner on our HUD. So with all of those created, we're done inside the My Blueprint panel. We're going to hop to the event graph just to set up some quick custom events so that we can call those inside of our checkpoint blueprint and our tracker blueprint when we start working on those in the next two videos. So let's hop to the event graph. So we're going to hop over to the event graph by double clicking on it here. And inside the event graph, the first thing that we're going to do actually is, let's see, let's kill this event tick. We're not going to be using that. So I'm going to delete that. I'm also going to hide the compiler results in case you have it up or don't have it up. I'm just going to hide it just so we have a little bit more room inside of our graph here because we don't need it. So the first thing we're going to do is actually call to display our HUD. Even though we haven't created it yet, we're going to set it up so that it is ready to be displayed. So off of our event begin play here, I'm going to left click and drag off our executable pin. So left click and drag off of it and release. And inside the search window here, I'm going to search for create widget. So this is going to create our HUD for display. So I'm going to select create widget. And the class, I'm going to click this drop down here. I'm going to specify it to use that HUD widget blueprint that we created. So HUD widget blueprint. Next thing we're going to do is right click on the return value here. And we're going to promote this to a variable. So right click on this pin and promote it to a variable. It's going to give us a new node and another new variable over in the My Blueprint panel, as if we didn't have enough already. Let's go ahead and rename this to HUD reference. So this is going to be a reference to the HUD that we have created inside of our player controller blueprint here. Next thing we need to do is drag off this pin here and actually add to viewport. So add the HUD to our viewport. So let's go and select that, like so. So we're adding the HUD to the viewport. Then the final part of this that we need to do is right-click inside the graph down here. Let's right-click and let's search for Get Player Pawn. So Get Player Pawn, which is going to be our vehicle that we are driving around. So we're going to select this. We're going to drag off the return value now. And to make sure that we are using the vehicle blueprint, we're going to use a cast node. So we're going to say cast to vehicle, vehicle blueprint. It's right there at the top. Not the wheeled vehicle. We want to use the cast to vehicle blueprint, as that is the blueprint that we are using for our player character. So let's move that up and let's connect our executable to our cast node like so. We're also going to promote the return value of this to a variable so that we can reference it later as well. So let's right click on this and promote that to a variable. And we'll call this variable the vehicle reference. Like so. So over in the My Blueprints panel, we called this the vehicle reference. So with all of that, our event begin play is set up. So I'm going to left click and drag a selection box around all of these and hit C to create a comment. And we're going to call this the event begin play / get references, like so. Okay. How are we doing on time? We're about 20 minutes. We're almost done, I swear. Let's go ahead and create some quick custom events. We're not going to create the script for them. We're just going to create some custom events so that we can call them inside of our checkpoint blueprint and our tracker blueprint. So let's go ahead and do that. First custom event that we're going to create, actually, let's right click inside of the graph, search for custom event, and we're going to say add custom event. We're going to call this custom event the start game setup. And this is going to be used to perform the save game check function to see if we have a save game, and then it's also going to initialize our text, which we'll set that up a little bit later. We're then going to right click and add another custom event. Another custom event, we're going to call this restart. So this is going to be used to drive and kick off restarting our map when the race is complete. So next custom event that we need to add, let's right click and say custom event. This custom event is going to be called update lap. We're going to use this to drive the updating of our laps in our race. One more custom event down here. We're going to say right click, custom event. And we're going to call this respawn vehicle. So we're going to use this to actually respawn our character when they flip their vehicle over, if they flip their vehicle over. So with those custom events created, I'm going to drag to the right over here, somewhere over to the right. We're going to create another custom event. This custom event is going to be called the start race time, like so. And we're going to right click, custom event. We're going to call this the stop race time. And we need a start lap time and stop lap time. So we're going to right click and we're going to say custom event. We're going to call this start lap time. Right click, custom event. I guess I could copy and paste those and rename them as well, but this works just as well. So we're going to say stop lap time. And we're going to use these 4 nodes here to start and stop our race or overall race time and our lap timers. So I think that's all we need to do. I know it was a lot, but we did a lot of stuff inside of our player controller here. So let's compile and actually save this. And then let's close this blueprint for now. Last thing we're going to do before we wrap up this video and move on to the next video where we begin setting up our checkpoint blueprint. Let's take our player vehicle inside of our level here. Let's take our player vehicle, let's select him. Let's grab this green arrow here and just drag him onto our track, something like so. So let's move him up, something like so. Again, if you are completely new to Unreal, we're using the W, A, S, and D keys while holding down the right mouse button to kind of fly around in our level here. So quick primer on how to navigate the viewport. So we have our vehicle on the track here. I think that's good. Last thing that we'll do, let's go down to the content browser. Let's go to the maps folder actually. And what we want to do, let's actually save everything first. So let's save all. And we're going to select our advanced vehicle map here. We're going to right click on it and we're going to duplicate it so that we have a new map. And we're going to call the new map the loop-de-loop map. This is going to be the loop-de-loop map. So I'm going to rename it. Going to double click on it now to open it up. And let's actually save it. May give us a message. Its following assets have been modified and can't be unloaded. That's fine. Go ahead and click the OK. It's going to open the new map for us. Make sure that you are on the loop-de-loop map by looking at the top up here. Now we should be able to save it. Let's save all, like so. So now we're going to build everything inside of our loop-de-loop map. We'll have the original map that we can then duplicate and create our race over there a little bit later. That's actually going to do it for this video. I know it was a lot to get done, but we've set up all of the blueprints that we will need to use. We've set up a lot of stuff inside of our player controller here that we will use in the next video, actually. So we won't have to hop back and forth between our player controller and our checkpoint blueprints. We're just going to make things a lot easier for us in setting this up. So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. We'll pick it back up in the next video where we begin working on the actual checkpoint blueprint for our race here. Thank you guys for watching.